Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Best Words. This week, we're going to talk about critical race theory. If you don't know what that is, don't worry. No one who's upset about it knows what it is either. Critical race theory is essentially a legal theory that says that the law itself in the United States is inherently racist and that institutions can be racist absent the active racism of the people in those institutions. It's a complex legal theory. It's taught in law schools, it's taught in graduate sociology seminars. It is not taught in elementary schools, but you had a couple clear examples you wanted to talk about where critical race theory is a useful tool for understanding the world.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing they were talking about before is redlining, and what is redlining? If you want to go into that a little bit.
Yeah, so redlining is essentially a way to demarcate a neighborhood. So only white people can only live on one side of the line, and African Americans can only live on the other side of the line. In many northern cities, this was extremely strict. If you tried to move past the accepted boundary, whatever avenue, right, in whatever city, things often turned violent. And then you could have a realtor, right, who is not themselves racist, but has kids at home and is trying to make a living. They're not about to be a trailblazer and violate that red line. It takes somebody who's, really brave and kind of a radical and also a realtor to sell a black family home on the other side of that red line. So what you have is essentially a de facto segregation imposed through real estate covenants. And, fast forward 40, 50 years, and these past decisions, these past social covenants have real world impacts now where the municipalities behave in a racist way, be it schools, be it businesses, all because of racial decisions that were made decades beforehand. And critical race theory is one way of looking into stuff like this and understanding it. It's a lens to understand the world we live in and understand that race has played an inextricable role in public policy decisions since the founding of this country. And it is a belief on the conservative side that I think is exceptionally naive, even for the five conservatives who understand critical race theory. They all latch onto that one quote from Martin Luther King, right? It's the content of your character, not the color of your skin. It's like, yeah, you're missing a lot of context there, buddy. Um, and so they say, skin does not matter, and maybe it mattered in the past, but it doesn't matter now. And one really interesting thing that critical race theory illuminates for me is that because it mattered in the past, it still matters now.
Yeah, you hit on a lot of things there. It was a government sanctioned thing that was imposed, so it wasn't just the private sector looking at. So there used to be neighborhoods that were classified into colors, and this is where the redlining name comes from. The green neighborhoods were considered the best, blue desirable, yellow as declining neighborhoods, and red as hazardous. And now I could give you two guesses as to which one most minorities would live in is the red zones. Of course, these are considered hazardous, so places that you shouldn't invest in. So these things that have happened in the past can affect things in the present, right? And that's what they mean when they say critical race theory. That's a way of looking at what happened in the past, how it affects now. And that's really, it's not even controversial, in my opinion, at all. I mean, backed up by tons of evidence. So, it's just another boogeyman that the right wing likes to throw out there to get their base ginned up. We need to worry about critical race theory. We need to worry about trans people in bathrooms. And what
Yeah,
else?
no, and that's really the point. Like critical race theory is something that's again taught in graduate school, it's taught in law school. It has no bearing on anyone's life who's mad about it. The Venn diagram of people who are mad about critical race theory and people who don't understand what it is are two perfectly overlapping circles. If you are mad about critical race theory right now and you are trying to get it out of schools, you don't know what it is. If you're upset that critical race theory is being taught to children, you definitely don't know what it is. Um, the memories are so short. I mean, I remember 3 months ago we were hearing about how the border was out of control, and this was the worst situation on the border we've ever seen. And then just one day they realized it just wasn't catching, and so they dropped it. And I haven't heard one word about the border in weeks. Sharia law, again, trans people in bathrooms. Dr. Zeus, cancel culture, right? Cancel culture was the biggest problem in the world. The whole RNC was all about cancel culture, and they sort of dropped that because it's because they're trying to ban critical race theory. In other words, they're trying to destroy people who teach things. And they don't actually want to ban critical race theory. Again, they don't know what it is. What they want to ban is exposing America's ugly historical underbelly. In the conservative world, you're allowed to admit that there was slavery and it was bad, and then you're allowed to talk about the civil rights movement. And then Reagan was elected, and everything was fine. That's the conservative worldview, and anything that adds
Well, no,
new dimensions to
the,
that, yeah,
the Civil Rights Act was passed, and all of a sudden, all of our problems went away. Nothing.
all of our problems.
Racism is gone. Barack Obama was
You get a black,
president.
yeah, and so they don't want people to know about the Tulsa massacre. Right now, I think, pretty well educated, kind of a history nerd. Um, I don't know when I learned about the Tulsa massacre, but it wasn't that long ago. I'd say certainly in the last 6 or 7 years.
Well, I could, yeah, I could tell you something for damn sure. I didn't learn about that in high school. I consider that I went to a pretty good school that taught, a lot of good things and delved into a lot of like racism in the past. But I maybe like 10 years ago in my mid 20s, I heard about this. So these people that are like, "Oh, we need to ban critical race theory out of our high schools, K through 12." I'm like, do you do you know what's in public school? Have you gone to a public school? Do you know what's being taught in there? Because it certainly isn't like the way that you think it is.
No, outside of a handful of AP classes, there's no critical theory being taught in any public school in America, and it's definitely not being taught in any elementary school in America.
No, no, it isn't. Because, like you said, it's being ginned up. The people that are complaining the most about it don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's nothing there. And the hordes are always upset, and I have to kind of take my hats off to the evil geniuses who run the GOP. I really do, because these dingbat followers of theirs are always pissed off about whatever they're told to be pissed off about. And I kind of wish we had that sort of mind meld control over people. I'm a little bit envious of it. I mean, people are mad about critical race theory, and they have no fucking idea what they're mad about. And that's really the takeaway from this. And there's always someone on our side who is like, well, we really should. They might have a little bit of a point. We want to. There's a nugget of truth in there. There's not. There's never a nugget of truth. In the right wing panic du jour, there is never a tiny nugget of truth that we should
Oh,
begin accommodating.
I mean, I would just
You
say to
know,
that if you're telling 95% bullshit and 5% truth, why don't you
then
just
who can? Yeah,
skip the bullshit, get to the truth part? Like, well, you don't need the bullshit. But that's not their agenda, right? That's
no.
not what
And so
that's not that doesn't help them.
no, the proper way to deal with the right wing noise machine is mockery, which our side as a whole is not great at yet. Scorn and ignoring it. And that's why the border panic passed, because the White House, to their credit, just kind of ignored it. And I was legit impressed when Biden didn't take the bait. 10 years ago, if they did something similar to that, Obama would have held a conference on the border. He would have been at the border, and the media bit, and the White House didn't, and he deserves some credit for that, because you never ever take the bait. Just let them run their idiot mouths till they get tired or find something else. Right wing outrage is never going anywhere. It's a constant. No
Oh
need to
yeah, I
address it.
say treat it like North Korea. Just be like, okay, man, whatever. Yeah, sure, do whatever you're gonna do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just like to like finish off my point on this. I'd say you think about it like critical race theory, like right wingers. Anybody listening, if you're a right winger, there's nothing wrong with admitting mistakes that you've made in the past. How do you grow as a person, as an individual? All right, you don't go, oh, I'm the best at everything. I do everything right. I'm perfect. I've done nothing wrong. How do you get better? Like you admit the mistakes that you make, you try not to make them again. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with that worldview? That is how you grow as an individual, right? Just apply it to the rest of your life. Apply it to our history. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's also the exact opposite of American exceptionalism, which is we are the greatest at everything ever without trying.
Well, look, I'm not a person that says, America's always done bad. I mean, we have a spotty history, but we've done a lot of great things too. There's nothing wrong with it, celebrating the good things that we've done, and also looking at the bad things that we've done and be like, hey, we should do better. I think that everybody should look to, just view it that way. You don't have to be 100% on one side, we're the best at everything, and 100% on the other side, oh, we're just completely terrible. We can't do anything right. There's good, there's bad. Take the good with the bad. Move on.